So there's something a little bit different. There's going to be a spoiler talk, so of course there are going to be spoilers ahead. And I wanted to do this to expand my thoughts a little bit, actually go more in-depth into the movie of Shin Kamen Rider. While the video before this was more general, it was more my experience being in the theaters watching it, while this is mostly just going to focus on the movie itself. There's going to be minimal editing, it's just me talking to the camera, so you can put this in the background, listen to it as like a solo man podcast or something like that. But with that out of the way, just like the movie, let's go straight into it. The first 10 to 20 minutes or so of the movie was uploaded to YouTube as like a preview, which is crazy to me, like a 20-minute preview. Even a 10-minute preview is kind of crazy. So I already knew about the opening and all that, and I loved it. It was really cool to me. It is one of the best parts of the movie. Just getting straight into the movie with all the action, with the bike chase, Takeshi Hongo fighting Shocker and the Spider-Man augment or Spider augment, saving Ruriko and all that. I thought that was an amazing way to start the movie. It was just non-stop action. There was minimal exposition too. It was just straight up fighting and action. It was great. The gore was actually kind of, I want to say gore, but the on-screen blood was surprising to me because I was not expecting heads exploding and heads getting caved in, especially by Kamen Rider. But hey, that was actually a neat surprise. My best friend who watched the movie with me, he's super into that, so he loved all like the action scenes too, and especially when they got a little bit quote unquote gory like that. And right off the bat, as I'm gonna say, as I said quite a lot, the movie is non-stop. It is such a fast movie. And to some people, the pacing, quote unquote, is bad and it just goes all over the place. But to me, I did not mind how fast it was, as I've explained plenty of times before. How fast it was, I thought actually helped with the action. It helped try to move things along. It felt like it was going the Shin Ultraman route, trying to combine several stories, or you can even say like 3 to 5 different episodes of Kamen Rider into this 1 2-hour movie, for better and for worse. Although for some of the positivity was that it did try to include some of the original Kamen Rider show elements into it, while also trying to incorporate some of the manga elements into it. If you're watching this visually, I have the manga right here in the background. Maybe you can't see it because it's blurred out, but I did read the manga, and I think the manga is really good on its own. I more so like the story of it than the art. I think Shotaro Ishimori art is not for everyone, but there were several moments in the movie that I thought were just perfect homages to the manga, especially with how dark the art style can be. I thought that was great. It was really cool. I loved how the movie did try to combine both the show and the manga while also doing its own original ideas, and it went for the better. But yeah, the fight against Spider Aug was fantastic. I would even say it's probably one of the best fights up there in Tokusatsu. It's just so fast. It is so crazy. I love the close-up shots that like when the fist goes like this and Takeshi Hongo pulls back and the fist comes from directly from like the front of the camera. It is gorgeous. It is great. And the best part of the action was the rider kick. Like, I really love when there's, like, regular human clothes on top of the Kamen Rider suit or, like, a Tokusatsu suit, some kind of piece of armor. So I already think the Shin Kamen Rider style or aesthetic is cool with that. But then seeing the rider kick and seeing the jacket float along with the wind, along with Spider Aug during the rider kick, gorgeous. It is cinema. That was great. I love that. And then unfortunately to me, after that scene, the opening scene, was when things started to go downhill for me. I'll try not to be that negative, I promise. But I'm just saying that's when my thoughts really just go like, oh no, this feels like a totally different movie now. A big grand spectacle fight scene like the first 20 minutes, to me, I don't think anything like that really happens again in the movie. Like, you could say maybe the last fight, but there aren't any more Shocker combatants after that, unless you want to count like the Kamen Rider, the multiple riders, which is also a pretty cool thing we'll get into. But there aren't any more like mooks to fight. There wasn't really anything ginormous or as grand as the spider fight until we get to like the Nego fight. So it kind of felt like it was just there to keep my attention, and it did. It was very shiny. It was very pretty. But then after that, it just became something more not like that. Much like the fast pace, the exposition goes at a mile a minute too. We get introduced to Ruriko, 2 people that formed an anti-Shocker organization that aren't named until the end. But one of them is played by the person who also plays the protagonist of Shin Ultraman. He played Shinji Kaminaga, and I thought that was really cool. I thought he looked like Otoya from Kamen Rider Kiva slash Kamen Rider Grease. I thought those actors looked alike, and I thought they were. I think it was the beard or the hair. I think the hair was hiding like a facial feature that made me think they were the same actor, but no. But then when I actually saw the actor in the movie, it was pretty neat to see like the same actor play different characters. There's also the guy who appeared in every Shin movie so far, who he later says his name is Tachibana, which is clearly another reference to the original Tachibana from the manga and show. And that was pretty cool. Like the audience is supposed to get it, but to people who don't really know Kamen Rider, he's just like, who? So, but still, it was neat to have those references, to have those characters in there. Also, where they explain so much about Shocker, who the organization is, what they do, what their plan is, Ruriko's whole thing about it, Takeshi Hongo's whole thing about it, and all that, and it does get talked about for like 20 minutes straight, just nonstop, no breathers, just like Shocker is like yada 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 yada. By the way, I'm Ruriko, yada 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 yada, and we're gonna fight this anti-Shocker. Blah, blah, blah. See, it was just a lot, and I actually did enjoy the scene enough, but it also felt like it was dragging on for a little longer than it really should have. And that's crazy to say considering it was really fast. But then the whole setup was that Shocker has some heads that they need to take down. And those are the people who are combined with their animal Purana. So that way they become like part human, animal, cybernetics, stuff like that. Takeshi Hongo with the grasshopper augments and stuff like that. I also didn't bring this up in my last video, but prana is a big thing in the movie. They say it's like said so often. Like how can you not know what prana is at that point? But it's essentially someone's life force, their essence, like a part of them. Everyone has prana, and so they can try to combine things, which is why we have like the spider. The spider aug is a combination of a human and spider. You get the gist of it. But then there's something lurking in the back. Who's this leader of Shocker that is trying to take down Takeshi Hongo and Ruriko and all that? So the next target is the Bat Aug, and his introduction was also pretty cool. As much as I say I didn't like the movie, there are a lot of cool things I like in it. I think the whole part of Bat Aug was pretty cool. I liked how his hat had like slits in it so you can put his ears in. I think details like that are pretty funny and silly, and they're good. And then Ruriko tries to go in. She's mesmerized by the Bat Aug, and then Takeshi Hongo goes in. From what I've seen online, a lot of people thought the whole Bat Aug part could have been cut entirely. And I wholeheartedly agree that, yeah, the whole part just could have been shorter or cut altogether. I felt like it didn't really add anything to the movie. It was just, I guess, padding, if you want to say it in the worst way, because there wasn't really a fight either. It was just once Bat Aug gets outsmarted like super fast within like 5 minutes, Takeshi Hongo chases after him. He does a rider kick, and then Bat Aug's done, and that's it. Like there was no hand-to-hand fight. Ruriko shoots his wing with a shotgun like once, and then rider kick, and that was pretty much it. There's also like another mini part that has to do with the Scorpion Aug, who is also played by an actor from Shin Ultraman. And that part was also completely unnecessary. They do explain why they did it, but it just also felt unnecessary, which I'll get into in a second. Because Anti-Shocker Group just shoots Scorpion Aug, and that's pretty much that. We had a whole like 5 to 10 minute scene about Scorpion Aug killing off like these nameless people, and they also killed off her nameless group behind her, and it was super fast. It had like it felt like it had nothing to do with anything. And then when Tachibana and Taki were like, oh, by the way, Scorpion Aug was defeated off screen, I was like, oh no, it's like she's gonna come back, right? She's gonna be part of the movie. There's no way they just kill her off screen. And then they kill her off screen, and she never comes back for the rest of the movie. So I'll admit it was a cool action scene. I liked how the action was set up, and the short fights there were between the Anti-Shocker group and Scorpion Augs group. I thought that was cool. It was nice. There was some nice blood effects, and people were dying. And fine, sure, whatever. But it also had nothing to do with anything. The next big set piece was fighting against the Hornet or Wasp Aug, the Bee Aug, the Hachi Aug. And this really pinpointed one of my biggest gripes with the movie, in that they explain so much, but it also doesn't feel like it needs that much explanation. It feels like it didn't really need to explain all this to the point where all this talking just didn't really amount to anything. And the Wasog is what showcases that the most, because apparently there is a manga prequel thing that has to do with like Ruriko and the whole Shocker organization, but I shouldn't have to read that. I shouldn't have to read all that to get more out of the movie. I feel like those things in the manga should have been in the movie. I'm sure you get what I'm saying with that. And that's because Ruriko also gives another long explanation that the Wasog was like her only friend growing up in the Shocker organization, and that also goes with the problem of telling but not showing, because again they just talk nonstop and they don't really show any of this. And that also goes along with Takeshi Hongo. We're told nonstop all the way to the end. He has flashbacks, and every time he does, they always explain, oh, Takeshi Hongo is a kind-hearted person. He will never hurt a soul as long as there's humanity and justice in the world. He is great. He saved my grandpa a long time ago. He gave me $100. He's my best friend. He does my homework and he does everything for me. You know, Takeshi Hongo is the most perfect human being in the world. He is a great person. But we're never really shown that. We're just told that he's a good person. We're not shown that he did actually give Marcosatsu $100. We're just told that he was this great person. I will admit the set piece for the Wasog was pretty cool. I love how when she transformed, it was super fast. Like a curtain goes up and it goes back down in like half a second, and then she has a helmet on, and then she has to take prana from her subordinates to be stronger. I think all that was really cool in concept and visually too. I thought the helmet was pretty cool. And then it turns out she's stronger than they realize, so they have to run away real quick. And then Takeshi Hongo's like, "Oh, I have a plan. You gotta trust me, Ruriko." And she was like, "I'm sure, why not?" And so then they do it. They go back to the rooftop and try to fight her, and they win. And so Takeshi Hongo's plan was to airdrop himself and destroy the heck out of the building that Wasog was in. I thought that was cool. As it was a big shiny explosion, and that was really funny because it was just out of nowhere. He did the rider screw, you know. He just spun around like super fast, T-posing, and then he blew up a whole building. And and the hard cut there was really funny too, because I thought they would show him going through like the entire building, like floor by floor, until like a generator or something explodes. And I thought they would be showing that, but no, they just show him spin. They show the building, hard cut to an explosion. I thought that was funny, probably for a wrong reason, but I thought it was cool at the same time. So the next part is the battle between Wasog and Takeshi Hongo. A lot of people were pointing out this fight to be cool too, and it was in concept to me. It just like everything in the movie, it just goes by so fast. And this time, literally really fast, because they were fighting so fast, it was hard for the audience to see. But that's like the point of the fight. They were going really, really fast against each other. You just see that like the lines that go behind them. I thought that was neat. It just goes by within like a couple of minutes. I thought we'd be there at least a little longer to show like the close-ups of like the swords clashing and stuff like that. And maybe I missed that. Maybe I literally just blinked and I missed that. But again, it just didn't really feel that big to me. It didn't feel that earned to me, that they were just fighting and it happened. Sword clink, ding, you can't defeat me, Takeshi Hongo. She gets shot. Oh darn, I'm defeated. Bye, Ruriko. You know, it is almost literally that fast. Not literally, almost that fast. And here we see the whole reason we had the Scorpion Aug part was because the bullet that hit her was filled with Scorpion Aug's venom. Don't know why they needed a whole scene to explain that. Along with the rest of their telling but not showing, they probably could have just told us, oh, that bullet had some venom that killed her. There's a lot of work being put into scenes that didn't really need to be there. And that was the end of that. Just like Bat Aug, Wasog, and Scorpion Aug, they were part of the movie. They were there. Takeshi Hongo rider kicked them, and then they died. That's it. See, when Shin Ultraman tries to have all these monsters and aliens together, they're at least there for a sizable amount of time. Oh well, I know someone's gonna try to prove me wrong. I know someone's gonna prove me wrong and try to match like timings together or something. But these are just my feelings at the moment for Shin Kamen Rider. The next scene was pretty nice because this is where the movie actually slowed down and had some chats between Yuriko and Takeshi Hongo, and they were just talking about themselves for a while and how Yuriko was like, I want you to protect me and all that. I thought that was all very neat. It was a nice moment. It was a nice, slow moment. My theater experience was also pretty good. There wasn't really many people talking, and this was also the point where it was like the one moment the audience actually reacted was when Taki brought a bag of clothes for Ruriko, and Taki was like, I had a female officer choose the underwear for me. I didn't see it, and that's when the audience laughed along with it. But still, the whole scene was pretty good. I did enjoy seeing Takeshi Hongo show more of his humanity, being part Kamen Rider and part human and all that. I want to say this was about the midway point, so then the villain finally shows himself, or doesn't finally, but we get the full reveal of the villain, which is Ruriko's brother, and he's trying to get everybody's prana and move humanity into the other world and stuff. I got it. For the gist of it, I got it, I think. But it was such a weird villain plan to me. That was probably the point. Maybe I am just getting the point of like, oh no, why would you do that? That's just weird for anybody to do that, even for a villain. But maybe that was the point. So sure, it was a weird plan for Ridiko's brother to get everybody's prana and move him to another world, I guess. Fine. So Ririko and Hongo go to Ririko's brother's evil secret lair underground that has like 100-mile long tunnel, and it has no other room aside from like the throne room. To me, that was silly because it didn't seem like there was anything more at the end of this tunnel other than a throne room. That's so some architect got paid millions of dollars for that, I guess. We got a glimpse of Haruto Ichimonji earlier in the movie, but now we got the full reveal when her brother is like, by the way, we have another grasshopper augment. You cannot hope to defeat him. And then Haruto Ichimonji steps out of the shadows. And much like the rest of the movie, he just explains his whole shtick. He gives a whole essay about himself within like a couple of minutes, and it's pretty much bullet points, and he was reading off his Wikipedia article. My name is Haruto Ichimonji. I was a journalist. You might as well call me Kamen Rider No. 2. I am the grasshopper augment also. You know, he was just listing things off about himself, and then Hongo's like, well, I can't help to fight him. Let's leave, Ruriko. The only other time the audience were audible was when Haruto Ichimonji he did his first henshin. Like he said henshin, he shows his belt, and then a helmet gets put on. The audience was actually like, oh, like that. Like they were surprised. I'm pretty sure most of them knew what the significance of that henshin was, but it was also just really cool to see an on-screen henshin since Hongo just rides his bike. And so then they try to leave, and then Haruto Ichimonji is like chasing them, and then Haruto Ichimonji is like right behind them with the bike, which is kind of funny because you have to think that for like that really long tunnel, Ichimonji was just right behind them the whole time. And then comes another one of my favorite parts of the movie was the fight between Hongo and Ichimonji. Ichimonji is one of my favorite writers. I liked him a lot in the original Kamen Rider show. He's just really funny to me, but he's also serious when he wants to be, and he's just a lot of fun, and I like him. And luckily, he is like that in the movie too. He does have like these quips. He isn't 100% serious about everything, but he does try to fight as seriously as he can against Takeshi Hongo. And that action scene was fantastic. I was telling myself, oh my gosh, there's like top 10 Kamen Rider fights right here. Just seeing like these wide shots, just seeing like this, I don't know what it was, a factory or something, or a warehouse, just like these buildings, a wide shot, and seeing Hongo and Ichimonji like running alongside each other, jumping up into the air, like fists like punching each other so hard that they like bounce each other back. Like that was really cool. And I could compare it to Dragon Ball, which is one of the things that was going through my mind. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Dragon Ball does have like iconic fights for a reason. And I think there's another iconic fight that could be within like the history of Kamen Rider. It's just so cool. It is so awesome. You might have seen in the trailers where Ichigo and Nigo, they were like, they have their fists up to the camera and then they pull back like one after another. There were a couple of moments like that during the fight, like one after another. And that was cool. I love that. I was so hyped to see that. And Ichimonji isn't stupid either. Even though he has lots of quips, he is a smart guy. He is smart like Takeshi Hongo. And so then Ichimonji is there like, oh, I see you're fighting like this because the wind, and you're trying to fight more in the air because that's yada yada yada. And I think stuff like that is cool. And another funny quirk is that he like gives a thumbs up a couple of times during the fight. And that's just cool. I love characters like Ichimonji. And then the fight ends within like 30 seconds. There's your Ichigo and Nigo fight. Although the fight was brutal, I liked seeing how crazy it got. It got to the point where Hongo's legs were like bent backwards because of how strong Ichimonji was. And we visually see that. Even my friend was like, oh gosh. Ichimonji became good because Riko, who was shown early in the movie a couple times, they have like these really special AI powers. She like holds Ichimonji's head and he just lets her, I guess. But she holds on to his helmet and that turns off his brainwashing. And that's where we also get the iconic pose. You've probably seen it in the posters of like a Kamen Rider being down on their knees and then she gives him the scarf. I thought that was very well done too. I was kind of hoping to see what the context of that was. So that was one of the excited moments I was waiting for. And it was good. It was worth it. I like seeing what the whole context behind the scarf and Kamen Rider being on their knees meant. And then Ruriko dies. There was a chameleon augment. Well, actually, he said he was like three things at the same time, and he was like, "Nothing can defeat me. I've combined the power of three animals, and now I'm undefeatable." Yada yada. And I thought that was gonna be a big thing. I thought they were gonna fight at least a couple more of these like really crazy mutated versions of Augs, but no, he was the only one. And so then that Aug stabs Ruriko in the back, and she dies. And that was also a nice scene of Hongo like trying to crawl towards Ruriko since his leg's broken. He's trying to like crawl, and then he's trying to fumble with his scarf to like put it on Ruriko and stuff like that. I thought that scene was very good. It was a very well done scene. I did not like that she died, but I guess that goes along with the manga and the show where she's like barely in either of them. So as quickly as Ichimonji turned to the good side, he very, very quickly gets rid of the new mutated augment with a single rider kick, and that was that. Ruriko dies, and then that's it. The immediate next scene was gorgeous because we got to see Ichigo and Nigo facing each other. In the background is like a ginormous mountain. Like, it was gorgeous. It was a very beautiful shot. And that's when Ichimonji says, I'm gonna work to fight Shocker alone. Later. And then Hongo tells Taki and Tachibana, hey, I'm gonna go fight Shocker. And then he does a backflip. And the audience kind of laughed at that. They were snickering. And then Hongo's like, I'm gonna go fight Shocker. And then Ichimonji is right behind him. He's like, hey, I changed my mind. I'm gonna go fight Shocker with you. And then Hongo's like, I guess that makes us the double riders. Gosh, this movie goes by so fast. So the last thing is to defeat Ruriko's brother, but on the way, Takeshi Hongo rides through that really, really long tunnel. And then he comes across the Shocker Riders, which was really cool. And I've been seeing this a lot on the internet, whether it's Twitter or Reddit, that this particular tunnel scene, it was really hard to see. And I'm glad I wasn't the only one. I'm glad that actually was an issue for everybody. That the scene was really, really hard to see. Like, it was so dark in there. Most of the time, you could only see like the lights of the motorcycle and the lights along the side of the tunnels. And that was it. Maybe that was the point because it was a dark tunnel. It was probably going to be hard to see regardless, but this was really hard to see. Like you really couldn't even see the action that was happening in there. But regardless, I did like the scene enough of what I could see, and bike action is always cool. Even if I don't really mind if Modern Rider doesn't have that many action scenes on the bikes, I thought this was fine. It was entertaining enough when I could see it. And that's the part when Ichimonji rides alongside him and he's like, okay, we're the double riders now. We're going to fight them together. And them fighting the Shocker Riders together was pretty cool too. That's when we did get like the double rider kick. That's when we got the two riders finally fighting alongside each other, being like the Nigo and Ichigo that we all know from the originals and the marketing and stuff like that. It was very good. It was a very cool fight scene. though I know I'm going to try to watch it again, this time with lights on. And then the final battle happens. Ruriko's brother fights against the two Ichigo and Nigo, and there was, again, a lot of explanation before the actual fight happens. There's a lot of like yada 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 Ruriko, yada 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 prana, yada yada I'm evil, yeah, I'm just trying to do good things, but I'm evil, yada yada yada. And you know, it's like that. They're just standing around for like 5 minutes and they're trying to explain everything they can. For the most part, this next reveal wasn't really said in anything, even in the Japanese trailers, until the movie actually premiered, and then the trailer after that did reveal there was a third Kamen Rider in the movie. Ruriko's brother says Henshin, and then you see he has a belt on, and he says that he himself is Kamen Rider number 0, Kamen Rider 0. And that was cool. I love the design. He's supposed to be a butterfly augment. I love like the wings that were from his throne in the back, and the color scheme, the blue purplish colors, like and the helmet. It was all very cool. I just kind of wish I didn't see that. But I know that's more on me since I was watching the trailer, but I also wish it wasn't part of the trailer, if you know what I mean. And so there was a fight between Kamen Rider 0 and then Kamen Riders 1 and 2. It was very cool. But then it just devolves into like wrestling on the floor with Ichigo, and they're just wrestling. And it was kind of awkward. Like the shot on top of them was lingering on them for quite a while, and it was still on them. Like even when the fighting stopped, the shot was still there. Just seeing like Hongo like wrestling Zero, and I don't know. I felt kind of weirded out by it. Not in a bad way. It was more like are we going to get another shot? Is there another angle? Like, is there going to be more to this? They're just laying down here. So the two riders defeat Zero by putting Takeshi Hongo's helmet on top of Zero, and then Ruriko gives like her dying message to her brother, and then he's like, oh, okay, never mind guys, bye, and then he dies. And what I wasn't expecting whatsoever, like I would have never guessed that alongside Kamen Rider Zero dying, Takeshi Hongo, Kamen Rider Ichigo himself also dies. When Hongo was giving his last farewell to Ichimonji, I was like, oh no, he's just saying that they're just gonna ride off together on their bikes, right? And then you see the bubbles start to form of him, and he's slowly disappearing. And I was like, oh no, like the anti-shocker group's probably like teleporting him somewhere, right? But no, he just dies. So good on you, movie. That was a really interesting choice. So the final scenes are of Ichimonji just contemplating what he's gonna do next, and then the anti-shocker group or Taki and Tachibana go up to Ichimonji, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to fight for us, yada yada." And he thinks about it, and he's like, "Okay, I'll do it. Only if you give me a new suit." This was also part of the marketing, which I also wish wasn't shown, but he gets the modern quote-unquote look of Kamen Rider Ichigo, which is the green helmet and different accents. And that was cool. I loved it. I think that suit is gorgeous. I think both Ichigo and Nigo suits are pretty good too. I like them enough. But then like this third suit, it was beautiful. I love the shade of green. I loved how just modern it looked. It was a gorgeous looking new suit Ichigo. And even the back of the helmet says 1+2 to be like Kamen Rider, the new Kamen Rider for them. What weirded me out though is Takeshi Hongo like a helmet now? Like, is his prana inside the helmet? Because you hear him talk, he's like, yes, I feel the wind going through this suit. Please keep riding faster, Ichimonji. And I'm like, so is he just part of this helmet now? Is his soul in this helmet? Is that it? Like does he talk? Does he like wake up Ichimonji in the middle of the night and he's like, Ichimonji, we gotta go ride. I gotta feel the wind. like is he just hanging out? Is he part of Ichimonji forever now? That doesn't need explaining, but I just think it is a little silly. And that's the last scene of the movie, is Ichimonji in his new suit riding off. And it is a pretty decent way. I know that ending was divisive too. A lot of people were either confused or just like, is that it? Like that's a really weird ending. And me, I personally like the ending. It is new. It is different. It is something I wasn't expecting. So that automatically gets a few more points off the bat. That doesn't automatically mean it's good, but it does get some points of like, oh wow, they really are trying something different. Ichimonji taking up the mantle of Ichigo, I think is super neat. I think it is great. Especially if they do decide to make a continuation off this, then I wouldn't mind Ichimonji being like the quote unquote main writer. Well, honestly, to me, he is the main writer at this point. So I don't mind him being the main new writer. I think that's really cool. But as an overall ending, it's fine, I guess. It leaves way more questions than answers, and I guess that's the point, but for the most part it's like it's fine. Like I don't really see anything wrong with it inherently. Ichimonji teaming up with Tachibana and Taki, it's good. It's fine. The new suit just really takes over most of my positivity at the point. It is. I think the ending's good to me. Sure, I'll say it's good. I'll say the movie is good. As if I didn't say that already, I did not say that already. Never mind. Okay, so yeah, the movie is good. It's just not for me. Oh, one really cool thing was that during the credits, they were playing the original Ichigo theme, but they were also playing like the Lonely Soldier theme of Ichigo. La na 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 na. Right, that's one of the endings for the original show, and I thought that was really neat. I myself was almost gonna fanboy and be like, oh my gosh, it's the theme, because I love that theme. It is so good. So I'm really glad it played during the credits. But after that, they had clips showing of like the original Ichigo. It was super nice. It was great. Oh, and then Ichimonji too. He was there. It was just showing clips of the original show, and it was great. I love that, especially for the 50th anniversary. And there was like a little thank you. So by the end of it, I do respect the movie. I do get what Hideaki Anno wants to do with his vision, because this movie really was his movie for better and for worse. He was really trying to capture the feel of the original Kamen Rider, but for the modern day and a modern audience. And to a lot of people, it did. To me, it didn't. It wasn't for me. I'm not into Showa stuffs, but I do respect the work and I do get what he was going for. It is a fine movie for those who want to watch it and for those who are fans of Kamen Rider. Like me, I'm a fan of Kamen Rider. And yeah, it is a fine movie. It is a good movie. Will I watch it again? Just to support it. But otherwise, I probably won't watch it until like I make a legacy of Shin Kamen Rider. Whenever that'll be in like 10 years. All right, let's go, Ichigo.